Welcome back to our continuation for our core Java training. Today is our day 13 from a training perspective. Yes, there are a few Java project or assignments that I'm giving on the side. Let's keep them aside. So a few things that we want to do today is let's talk about handling files, how we can handle text files or Excel, and you can also discover how you do more of database connectivity or JDBC and so on. We will then do try-catch exception handling. We will talk about log4j reporting, how that happens. API RESTful programming team, I'm combining this along with Python. So this I will do it separately. You will get the entire thing in it. Java Swing NetBeans, let's see as time permits. Now, there may be a few more topics that I may not have covered. If they are, please let me know that you remember or you've heard of, then I'll try and add it. Let's go going with the file handling portion of a team. So we are in our, let's me switch workspace. And meanwhile, I want to show the assignment task that was done by one of the members, Kunal, in the previous. Did a very, very good code team. The code was primarily for the task that was assigned, where we have to capture the time taken for each task. So what was the task? User enters a task, user clicks on start task and moves on to accomplish the task, comes back to click end task. During this time, we want to capture the time taken for each task, capture random screenshots, webcam, video snippets of screen, create a report, and send an email to kk@verkasa.com. So these were the requirements that we were talking about. And let's look at this code. I'm actually going to take this code team and put it into our workspace. So I believe we were doing everything under project 1 itself, all the code that we have so far. So we are at J46 hash maps. Is that where we left? After that, we got into the assignment. So this was assignment. There's also screenshots, right? So screenshot J47. Screenshots. Finish. And let's see. Change this. And one, I want the structure of the code to be correct. It's not stopping you from doing anything. The comments is a problem. We are trying to move this curl bracket into the next line. It should continue. All this as a minute detail, start focusing. You're not just there also. Eye for detail to be very good. Very well, or three variables, and then I have a method called capture screen. We'll look into that. And I have a main method here. So that's about what we have. Let's try and understand what this does. So what does capture screen do as a code? It has a try catch, and we'll talk about it. Rectangle, screen rectangle, it is capturing that screenshot, getting it into a JPEG. It's almost like 4 lines of code that we need to understand. If that works well, it has created that file. Now, what we are doing is we're calling capture screenshot at specific points in time. Let's look at our main method. So I have a user name, begin task here, and this logic was good, while repeat is true. And what we're doing is we're performing a bunch of steps here. Enter task to perform, enter start to begin. This is for the time I believe that you're taking. And while I is than 5, int I equals to 1, I is less than 5. You can use a for loop also in that case. we're generating a value that is a random number into next int of 10. 0 and specified value between 0 and 10. So we're multiplying it by that. Sleeping thread. What? We want sleep thread. That's not correct. Why will we sleep thread? Thread should not sleep. This is correct code. Actually, that is right. You're right. Oh, you're sleeping for a random amount of time. Now I get it. So we're saying let's sleep for a random amount of time, the random value. It can be anywhere, and we're taking 5 screenshots in a span of certain time. So between 1 to 10 seconds or something like that, maybe it will take, and capture screen plus file name. Each time we're incrementing this. That way it doesn't overwrite it. End task. We get the overall time and very good. So that's what we did in the assignment. So I'm hoping all that was clear for everyone. Let's go with the basics of files team. GoBot, working. So what did we use here for reading this file? Screenshots. We didn't read anything. Here we just used we have file, and so where did we use file? I just want to see maybe here. Yeah, file. Okay, so this is something that we are looking at, something very similar. All right, close all, save. J48 underscore files. So I think maybe a couple of them, or we can do everything. So primarily Dean, we're talking about how we go about interacting with an external file. So let us say I create a simple text file. Where am I here? So we have our Java March 2020. So the code is here. So I'll just create a sample, see, not a folder, new text file. Sorry, something came up here. This is sample. It's already TXT. So here I'll say line 1, and I'll say this is line 2, and this is line 4, line 5, and last line, and maybe a dot here, a dot here, dot. So save it and close. Now let's take a path to this file. So all I'm saying is, number 1, I have a file path. So I'll say fp equals, whatever I got there, slash sample.txt. And this time it is just a variable t, have nothing but simple content into it. What went wrong? Sample.txt, no access. Now what I'm saying, we're talking about how we go about reading from that specific file. So all I do is we're going to use the file object. And in that file object, I'll say my file f equals new. I think it'll be new only, but I'm trying to read a file. So reading a file, yeah, it's still a new file, and wherever my path is. So file is our Java input output file system team. So you need to import the Java input output file system that lets us interact. So at this point, I would have data into myf, but if I just say print myf, I don't know what it will print. Let's run this and see. It's just printing the path to it, but it's not got any content to it yet. So at this point, what I need to do is use a scanner method. Scanner lets me read the data from the any file. So if I say my data equals new scanner and whatever I'm pointing to here in my file. So my file here, if you look at this simple way, file path is here. My file is pointing to my path. Now my data will point to my file. And at this point, it will get a little bit more precise as to what the content will be. So I import the Java scanner methods package for us. So scanner utility has been imported. At this point, why is there still an error? It may throw. So the primarily team, here is where we'll get into try catch also. You can throw an exception. Why should such a thing throw an exception? File could be not existing, file could not be accessible, or there are Java IO activities there. Now what you could do, team, if I say my data dot, I should be able to see what I can do in this file, team. So there are plenty of commands that we do, but primarily we are trying to read. So what we do is just say my data dot print, or 1 second, it will be line, one of the lines. As also will use, but next line. Next in long also is the one. Next line. So this should be able to print out what is there in the next line, I'm thinking, team. So if I just say this is so and print whatever comes here, let's observe the output. So that has read the line 1 for us, team. So what it does is scanner reads the file one line at a time using next line method. Okay. Scanner has everything into it. But when I say next line, it is reading one line at a time. So if I keep printing like this, adding this, it'll keep executing, it will tell whatever is there. Now let us say I go and print a few more. I don't know how many lines are there, right? And few more. So what has happened here, team? I hit an error right now, and it says that I've reached the end of the file. Last line was that's it. We cannot read anything after that. And that happened on line 21. So basically, I'm saying here runtime error. If we try to read beyond the file size, there's nothing else left in the data string to read for us. We're reading one line at a time. So we reach the last line, there's nothing more. And that is why it says no such element exception. It's basically saying no line found. Nothing is found in that next line. And from here onwards, we have an issue. So I'm going to comment this. Now, it is not necessary for you to know if it is there or not. So I believe we can get the number of lines. So now if I run it, should not be a problem. So this way what happens, team, I've gone to the last object. So no more can I get to use that anymore. If I say scanner equals my data 2, my data 2 equals new scanner, and in this case we send that file again, myf. Now I'm using a new one, team, altogether here. So here when I say, what I will do here, team, my data 2 dot size is that dot till it has next line. So I'll say while my data 2 dot next line has next line. So dot has next line there. So as long as it has next line, this method is gonna return a boolean for us. So it will be a true or a false. So I can easily put it into a while loop. So here the only criteria that I'll be doing is I will say so my data 2 dot next line. So I don't need to bother as to how many lines are there and so on. This should be able to print when we do not know the number of lines. Why is there a mark on my data 2? Express warnings resources of my data. Resource leak my data is it's fine. So for now, let's see. So it's almost the same file, but we read it into a different scanner team. So each scanner by itself is representing, but I can only go reading them one at a time. Now this is fair enough to read a file, team. Now what if you want to write to a file that is already existing, you want to update it. So how do we write back to it? So what I will do here, team, first writing back to a file. It's a simple more of read and write. We use a file write. Say this is data out equals new writer. I have. So I'm going to put it back into the same file, team, at the end of it. So I want to make sure that my data 2 is closed at the end of it. Here, null is basically whatever it has been assigned will be deleted. So file writer has to be imported. Again, another one from Java.io. This should be able to go to the last of the file and update things. So primarily with the file writer, I'll say my data dot my data out dot. You won't see something like next line here or read and all that thing. Most importantly, we're looking at write. And in write, you can add a complete string, adding a new line to the end. So once that is done, you want to close this out. So you want to say that I have written this anywhere open for a save mode. So you don't need to explicitly save it. That's what I believe. Save is there? No, there's no save. But close is the one that we, same I could do here also. So whatever we opened to read, now I don't need that anymore. So what I'm looking at is what's going to come back into the file. And at this point, let's try and read this again. So this should be okay. My data 3, let's call this the end of it. So we're updating the same file and we're trying to read back also. Let's Let's go watch, see it ourselves. Oh man, it has overwritten. See, you know why? Because I didn't tell where it has to go and write. So that's the problem. So let's redo this. Line 1, line 3. That's a line 4, 5. I left 6. Line 8. Last line. Okay, so this is the one. So what I mean to say, team, is here I'm reading. So write. Where do I write? At what point? I want to go to my data out dot and there we go. So append basically append specific attributes, append string is there. Let me make sure. Write, what does it do? String to be written. Overwriting it. Okay. And append specific attribute is writer. So it's a character. I can send, I can't send a string. One of this could be overwritten for us. Okay. Now if I give something like this, because let's want to the end to end of Java file writer and to the end of file. What if I do one thing here? Yes, file, right? Actually, you know what I'll do, team? So let's make sure of one thing. It should still work for us. Is there my data? I have this, correct? Good. So now what I will do is I will not close it away right now. So it's gone to the end of the file. I will not try the appending, adding a, this is second new line, adding a new line to the end. And then I'm going to try and print out and see what comes. So there you go. So what happened at this point is when I went already in that file till the end of it, I've reached my data to the end of it. Okay, so the file has till the end of it. Now, since I'm at the end of it, when I say write, it is writing to it. Now, if I again unline, just saying, see, this is how you have to keep playing at your end, team. Little patiently, one after the other. Sometimes it will take time. So now I already have this and second. Now I'm doing third and fourth. Let's see if it goes till the end of it. That's what we want. Adding a new line to the end. No line found. Where? Line 15. What? Okay. One second. First, let me make sure. Oh, come on. It's already gone to the end. That is the problem. See, this close, at least I have to do it at the end. Yeah. Primarily, it is all about keeping your data open, making sure at the right position, and you're able to write back to it. So if this is what I have. Second, adding a new line to the end. Then let us say I want to add more lines to it. All I'll do is I'll have a simpler code. This is specifically to write to an existing file. So at this time, I'm not trying to, I'll certain things. So let's get file path. All this thing is constant for us. So I'm going to retain this. I don't need to print this. This is my standard information. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going till the last line, everything. So since I want to go till the end of the file, I'll say my data equals new scanner f data and my data next time. So I've come to the end of it in here. Let's import scanner. I don't believe it's close declaration. That's fine. I'll just say exceptions for now. And I don't need this right now. Writing back to file. Read to the end of the file. Okay, once that is done, then we go into it and we say I want to write to it and close out of it. And now let us see what happens when I run this. But now the data should be here. So third, adding a new line to the end. Fourth, adding, oh no, it's overwriting it, team. It's not appending it. Let's try append now. See, whenever I write this, notice, where is it? Third and fourth are there. I'll just say fifth, 5, and 6. This is going till the end. File writer should I give? It will write onto this file. So let's see. Write will write theme. It's not going to happen. So if you open it, so you'll see 5 and 6. And it is not even writing to a new line. So there could be a dot write line. Or we could enter one of this. What is it that I want to do at this point? I want to append. So let's keep this as 7 and 8. And what if I say my data out of append? It's just appending a character to it. So adding it to a new line, I can give a slash and here team. That's not a problem. But I'm trying not to go to the end of be a quick search. Constructs file. Okay. What do you want to search after? And to the end of the file. Go to an text file, text to an existing file in Java. Okay. Actually, I'm when I show you logs, right? Log4j and all that's pretty easy team. But let's see here. Using buffered writer here, using file writer, print writer, file writer. Let's see this out more the text. File writer after. Logging log is the best, but I'll log4j anyways. All I'm trying to do is how to end to an existing text file. We are able to override, right? old content. Log4j, I will show you that theme. We'll move on with a couple more things today, very important, so that research a little bit more. You can do the same file handling that I'm showing you here. You can try it on Word, you can try it on database, Excel, and so on. I'm assuming you all saw how we do the read and write Excel. If not, I'll quickly show you. So you can keep that also as part of the library that we have. So I'm going to put it up here, team, and walk you through it. It'll be a good one for you to keep. Excellent. It is small. I don't have a package here, so remove that. Okay. Excel. Okay. So team, primarily this Apache POI, Core Obfuscation Interface, it is a GNU open source jar libraries that will help us to work on Apache POI jar down to interact with Microsoft Excel team. So you're looking at this specific link. Read and HSSF is basically a horrible spreadsheet format. That is how it is named. But let me give you a quick glimpse of it. So you're basically looking at the latest version team. It's a jar file that you download. Once you download it, like I've put it in the drivers that I maintain here, you will see an Apache POI also jar file, right? What that does is when I import it to my project in Java, let me play around with Excel sheets. So I'm going to go to, where am I right now? Properties, build path, libraries, add external jars. There are no jars here at all, is it? Surprising. So this requires jars team, and your jar is nothing but a Java archive resource, almost like a zip library of all the classes and methods that you can find. So now all the Apache POI recognition is done from imports team. And what we have created is a reusable class. It's got two simple things in it. It's got a read Excel method and a write Excel sheets method. Okay. So read Excel method, I'll briefly walk you through. What it does is if you send the input, the path of the Excel sheet, of the Excel file and the sheet name, it will read the content into a two-dimensional array and return that. So the whole objective is very simple team. In this, we're using data formatter to be able to look at how the data is coming for us to format it back into a simple text out here. Most importantly, we again using file. We're using file input stream to read from this Excel file team. Once I get this, that is where I put it into HSSF workbook and then a sheet, and how I get number of rows, number of columns, and create an initial two-dimensional array of that size, because now I know the size of it. So let us say in here, I have an Excel. I call it something again. So here I'm going to put data. And I'll say A, B, C, D. and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, maybe nothing here. Okay. Let's say this is my content, some data that I had storing. Now this is there in my sample.xls. I want to make sure, team, that this is saved as .xls version and not as a .xlsx, the older version, because HSSF works with this. I want you to look at it like a function. In Java, there are so many things that we use. All that we do sometimes is just call. And for example, where can I say? Out here, what is subtract do? I know it subtracts. Every time I don't need to be a master at what it does. So look at what we're doing here. Nothing but simple eyes. I'm not expecting you to master this code at all. Just how it works. You're not opening the engine on this. So we're saving it as in .xls and save. Now this is done. Now back here. So primarily, if I create a new file here and say J50 underscore read write Excel. And here, now I can create an object for this Excel team. But since this is static methods, all I have to do is just say Excel dot read Excel. And I need to tell where the sheet is. So here I have a couple of things. But here, in this case, sample dot, and I just say FP and the name of that sheet, the sheet one. I think it will be sheet one, if I'm not wrong. Ah, come on. Sheets dot sheet one. Sheet one. So that's the name of that sheet. That's it. Now I send these two parameters. That's the end of what this function needs to do for me. Whatever it returns comes as a two-dimensional array. So I will say string two-dimensional Excel data equals whatever comes from here. Now this may be throwing an exception, so I'll put a throws exception because it's handling files and so on. Now my Excel data is value, so I can go and print, and I can say for int I, what is the size of this? Int r rows equals Excel data 0 dot length. And that will be the row number of rows. And columns would be actually Excel data dot length and 0 dot length. So I say for I equals, I want to print everything that is there 0. I is less than number of rows. I plus plus. Right. Now what I want to do here, go through each column for int j equals 0. J is less than C in this case, J plus plus. So think of it like this. So back to your Excel.java. So I send that path, I send the sheet name. So it'll read that entire thing. It's getting the number of rows and columns in that sheet in here. And it goes through each row, it goes through each column, gets the value and puts it into the X data two-dimensional array. Finally, at the end, it will return that X data, whatever is there. So what happens here is I want to print it, and I'll say, so I want to print them in the same line. So I'll print Excel data I and J. Okay. And I'll print so just a couple of dividers in between T, and it will keep printing all that. So once it is done, let it go to the next line. This is /n. So this should print hopefully whatever is there in the table back to me. So let's run J50 read write Excel. It did print, but not as nicely as I would have liked it to. Something wrong here for sure. Let's see. Excel data IJ. Yes. So how many columns are there? I want to print this thing. So rows are plus R. C columns are. So I have this and I have this. Now let's debug team. This is very important for us to understand. And one of the things I want you to keep an eye, team, is as you get and read that information, you can put a debug point anywhere. See what's happening. So it's a toggle breakpoint, run in debug mode. Switch, it's hit that. Switch to debug perspective. At this point, I only have FP, Excel data has still not come. I'm going to say step over team. So basically, it'll read the data and come out of it. 1 second. Team. Sorry, where am I? Okay, it's here now. See, right now Excel data is loaded as a two-dimensional array. See, ABCD 1, 11, minus, minus, and so on. So I should be able to get the variable R, and so the 5 rows and 4 columns. That is what it is saying. I think that is correct. That is what we did. So now I'm going through each row. Rows are 5, columns are 4, and is row Excel data print. Oh yeah, sorry, this has to be print team. That was the problem. Let's try and run this. Let me finish it. Let's see what comes out. See, println will take it to the new line. So even print here, I don't want. I just want to print. Or you can say println and remove that. Either one is fine. Let's try again. There you go. Looks much better. So primarily, whatever was there in that Excel sheet, we are now able to read. Now, what is the point of writing? So if I have content that I have, I want to maybe put that data back. So in this case, it does very similar. You need to look at how it works, team, from a step-by-step perspective. But at a high level, what I want to show you is what you pass into it. Okay. So back here, let us say I want to change a value somewhere here. So anything that matches, if it is over 30, then I'll say oh, it's day string, right? So I all that right now. So I just want to change some data team. So I'll say if Excel data I j dot equals, so wherever it says C, I want to change that equals character C here, like this one. I want to change it to new C. So this is a change that we made. So only there the data is getting changed. So at this point, once I'm all done, what I want to do? I would like to write back this. So I say Excel dot write Excel. It will ask me where I want to write it. Maybe I want to write it into the same sheet, into the same one. I'll say sheet 1. I don't think if you give the sheet name, you need the index. You still gets a 0. And name the two-dimensional array. In this case, Excel. And team, just repeat this video once. It is not mastering the concept of read Excel will do and what Excel will do. Okay. So now let's see if it makes the change and puts the data back. I want to make sure that the Excel itself is closed. So there would be no errors then. Ah, there we go. Class not found exception. Ting, 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 ting. Exception went there. Let's see where, which line. Read, write Excel. Write Excel sheets itself. So it went into writing the Excel sheets and it had an issue. So if you notice, team, there were a lot of issues that we were tackling issues out here, or issues when we're reading files, or issues when we're making screenshots and so on. Let me talk briefly about the exception handling so we can implement some of this here. Okay, so very important, team, for exception handling. This is your try catch. So a regular program must work, but times they can have failures due to various reasons. Okay? Reasons like, for example, if I say divide by 0, so what happens if I say int x, okay, equals 10 and comma y equals 0, and I say int z equals x plus, or sorry, x by y, and sys o z. I've not yet solved this, team. I want to show it to you what could be the issue be, but whenever we get an issue, how is it that we handle using exception handling? So when I do this, team, here I'm dividing by 0. See, as the code by itself, there is no syntax error. Eclipse says, you know what, everything looks Java friendly, so let's run it. But when I run this code, it'll tell me that it found an error here. It says arithmetic exception by 0. This is where it throws an error and stops the execution. Now, let us talk about another scenario. File not found. Now, I want to read a file, which is something like this here. And if I do this regularly, it will work. Now, team, can you tell me if this won't print anything? If I say my f dot this is the file, right? Where am I writing then? Files. Next line. Oh, I didn't use this camera. Okay. My f dot next line. My sorry dot next line. and I can basically print out whatever is there in it, right team? So let's import and also throws exception. So it can throw an exception. Now, if I comment this, let's comment or just make it 10 for now, so it's no issue. And if I run this by itself, there should be no issue. Team, it should read one line, whatever is there. Is that what was there? Yeah, one came from this print statement, and 5 and 6 were there in that text file earlier. What was it saying then? So now let's say I have a file, I'll say sample1.txt and try and run. And this time it will say that file not found error. Okay. And for example, another case where I say array is there. I have int of I equals 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. And I print I of 0 is fine. When I do the same to print I of 4, I have another issue in this point. So file not found issue, so I'll just take it back to the regular one. Now see, I have the other problem that it says that array index is out of bound. I cannot read what is there. So what happens is you don't know where and when it can fail and stop the program. So hence we try to handle errors. So what we do, team, is the try catch. So for example, when I'm saying divide by 0, I'll say, you know what? This piece of code, and if there's any exception, I will catch it into a variable called exception E, and I can print and say error plus E. Now, what happens, team, is let us say that we did not have this try catch that I'm talking about right now as is. Oops. And I make this back to 0. I have so many more things to do here, and maybe some of these are correct right now, but it will not get executed, but because my program stopped very early. It stopped right away on line 16 here. I can't even go to the next line. It doesn't let me do that. So what we'll do is each one we will encapsulate it. So how do we do that? So I say try this piece of code. If an error occurs, we'll catch it. And we're going to talk about what it can do. Okay, so here I'll say there was an error that came in. Otherwise, everything was fine. For the same concept, I can apply anywhere. So even here, I'll say try this code. And if there's an issue trying this code to execute, then let's catch it. And your exception does not have to be specifically exception. We'll talk about little different types of exceptions in next session, team. So this is the other try catch for this, and here we'll print the same. Actually, catch statements are kind of same for us. Okay, one more. So this is try this piece of code, and if you have an issue around it, let's do this. Oh, I already had this now. I'm sorry. So anytime we have an issue, it will not stop the other code from executing. Let us put an issue in every code. The first one has an issue, the second one is having an issue, this one also will have an issue. Now let's see what happens. It will try and do whatever it can, but wherever it has an error, it will give that output and tell us, but it will not stop that execution. So for example, if there was no issue here in the file not found, or array index out of bound also is not an issue here, I put it back to 3, but let us say the divide by 0 is still there. So I only have it caught for divide by 0. The other code will continue to work normally. Next session, I'll talk a little bit more. We'll also add finality and then talk about how this error happened in read write Excel, how we can put it in type. I think couple more sessions should be fine. We're almost there here. Log4j. And I don't know how many of you would be interested in Java Swing. I can try and show you some basics on it. All right, team, I'll see you all back tomorrow then. I've not given any more assignments. I thought let me complete off the sessions first. Then we can do some more. So we've seen text. We've seen Excel, right? I believe. Yeah, read Excel. JDBC is the other thing that we can look at, team, or even a Word. In text, I think we had a little problem with the append. Let's see how we can find a solution to it. Any other questions for me for today? Upload this video on YouTube. I think we'll put it Uma, and like I said, na, video questions, please put them in the Skype group because Pavan handles them and I do not. And he can make a better, quicker response on it. And also, we may not be able to put it on YouTube because these are member videos, please. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye then. Take care all.